Hey, this is Jill and Alan, and
Welcome to It's a Parkie World.
this is a video that we've been talking about doing really for over 2 years,
Which is why it's a parkie.
which is why it's called It's a Parkie World. I'm sure you know Jill has Parkinson's disease.
And I have for 15 years now.
Yeah, and what we know and what you know, if you have Parkinson's or have loved ones who have Parkinson's, is that everybody has their own story.
Their own journey.
Their own journey. Their symptoms are different. Their medications work differently. So we just wanted to share Jill's story because she has an interesting one, and she's very involved in the Parkinson's community.
So, this goes back before 2005 because 2005 was when I was officially diagnosed.
At the age of
42.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a long
So
time.
she was early onset, YOPD, right? Young onset Parkinson's.
But initially I had some symptoms. My first symptom I remember was my index finger would just lift up. And it wasn't that I could put it back down, but by itself when I wasn't thinking it would go up. And same with my big toe on my left side. In fact, I very clearly remember the first time somebody said I should probably see a doctor was when I went and got a pedicure. And the gal kept saying to relax. She kept saying, relax your toe. And I thought I was. So she said you probably should see a doctor about that. Well, doctor, went to surgeon, went to neurologist. Finally,
Very typical. A lot of doctors to get a diagnosis.
now, granted, I was young, but the other thing was my mother had Parkinson's, and I had actually, one of the doctors I had seen was the one at UCSF who my mom saw. And he said, there's no way you have Parkinson's if your mother has it. That would be so unlikely. Well, these were in the days before there was any kind of genetic taught. And now we know that not only does my mother and do I have Parkinson's via a LRRK2, LRRK2 genetic mutation, my younger sister does too.
So her only sibling and her mother.
Which we're all doing well now. So that's
Yeah, no, they're all doing great. So that's the happy part of the story.
But
So diagnosed in 2005, and quite honestly, for the first few years, the medication worked pretty well, and she was managing it well. She had her own business, and I was working full time. And then
there were a few things I gave up. I felt uncomfortable skiing anymore.
Yeah, some changes, but not drastic.
And fortunately, I did know at that time to exercise.
Yeah, so she became a fanatic in exercise. But then after a while, the medication really stopped working very well. And I've been saying this for a long time, and it pains me. At one point...
Well, it was really in 2007, 2008 that I got really bad.
Yeah, she got bad.
I mean, sorry, not at 7, 8.
Yeah.
No, it was 2005 I was diagnosed. It was in 12 that it was really bad.
Yeah, the medication would work, it wouldn't work. And Jill's Parkinson's, the worst part, it's not so much of a tremor, although she did have that. Her worst symptom was dystonia, just really severe cramping, especially on her left side. And so it was painful. It was really painful.
What I like to say to people to imagine is if you take your hand and you make a club fist like this and just kind of like a claw and then hold that and you feel it. Now imagine holding that all day, every day, because my hands were so tight. My business partners, the kids, everybody knew if I get past my hand to them to rub because it was so terribly tight. And then that went up my arm and in my neck. And I'd already had previous back problems.
Yeah, so...
it went really bad by about early 2013.
Yeah, the medication would work, it wouldn't work. She would get 2 hours of sleep, she'd get an hour of sleep. She'd get a full night's sleep. It was just all over the place. And
I was miserable.
And life was bad. And I've said this all along, is I really would not have been surprised if Jill had jumped off a bridge, because life really was not good.
The point was I couldn't imagine. I thought I had tried everything. I tried all these different medications. I had tried all these different therapies. Remember when I did the magnet?
Yeah.
I did a magnet bracelet. I did self-hypnosis. I did acupuncture. I did chiropractic. I exercised. I did all these things. And sometimes it helped and sometimes it only helped a little bit and sometimes it didn't help at all. But I was progressing very quickly. So I was 49 at that time. And it was, for me, it was I had 2 kids, and you, of course.
Yeah.
But the kids were 12 and 15. And I couldn't see any good end in sight if I was only going to get worse and worse and worse. Because we all know this is a progressive disease.
And so our saving grace, Jill's saving grace, was finally deciding to undergo DBS surgery, deep brain stimulation. And that worked amazingly well. They call Jill a super responder.
Well, initially, since most of my symptoms were on my left side, I only had the surgery done on my right side, which we can make a whole other video on just the surgery itself.
Yeah. Right before surgery, Jill was taking 28 pills a day. Immediately after the surgery,
0.
She went to 0.
Which my doctor wanted me to take at least 1 Cinemet a day, so I had to break it up because I responded so well to the DBS that even 1 Cinemet had me way over the edge.
And so she's had 2 DBS, and the reason was that she was taking so much medicine to stem the symptoms, especially on her left side, that they didn't know that she had, she was symptomatic on her right side. So after the first surgery,
which went beautifully,
the symptoms on her right side became apparent. And so it was about 18 months later,
16 months.
16 months later, she had a second DBS surgery for the other side of the brain to help with the symptoms on her right side.
Which means I have 2 different neurostimulators now, one for the left side and one for the right. Honestly, I still think the left side right brain still has always been a better result. But because if I still have any problems at all, it's on my right. Now, as Alan was saying, I was taking 28 pills a day, and I went down to about half a Cinemet a day over the past, it's now 2020, so it's been 7 years,
and she's come up. She
now
takes maybe
3. 2 or
usually
3
2.
Rytari a day. Now, doctors hate me for this, but I have very much self-medicate.
Yeah, she doesn't follow anybody's instructions. She takes her medicine when she feels like she needs to take her medicine.
Right. A lot of people feel like because the doctors say so, and maybe it does work for them. I can only speak for myself because, as we said, everybody has their own journey. But many people feel like they must take it at 8, at noon, at 3, at 6, or whatever their own schedule is. I take one whenever it is I get up, be that 8 o'clock or be it noon.
Right.
And then I take one more before I go to bed. If I feel like during the day I need an extra, I'll throw in an extra. But that's it. So, and that's what works for me. I'm not saying to try that. If it works for you, it might not.
So, that's been the result of the DBS. So most people that see Jill wouldn't really know that she has Parkinson's because she's responded so well. The real problem that she has, quite honestly, which causes more grief in her life, is that she has a terrible back problem. She had 2 back surgeries long before Parkinson's became a part of our story. And so between her terrible back problems and her Parkinson's, we've had to make some serious adjustments in our life.
So in some of the videos and pictures on our site, you will see that I am using a cane. Now that's more because my balance is actually pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not so much my balance, it's my ability to get up and down stairs or sit up from chairs. Very honestly, a bathroom is a terrible place without a handicap
strength
bar.
issues.
And and I do work out for that. But one of the reasons I used my cane a lot in Mexico, obviously, was because sometimes when we were walking, the cobblestones were all over the place, but sometimes the step to a curb would be this high, and sometimes it'd be this high, and sometimes, very rarely, there would be a handicap access at all.
Right. So how did we get from there to this life of travel and it's a Parkie World? And, let's go back to when Jill had her first DBS surgery. and they turned it on. It literally, tears flowed. You know, her hand went from being all totally cramped to the second they turned it on, just complete relaxation. So.
And I still have no tremor at all.
Yeah, and so what happened was with us, very shortly after that, I remember very clearly we were laying in bed one morning or night and said, realized we had a second chance at life, and so we wanted to grab it. Now, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Because you have me.
Yeah, because I have her.
No.
But I also I
pension.
had a full career in working for the U.S. government, and I was able to retire much younger than most people with a full pension and health benefits. So we're really, really lucky in that regard, and we were able to decide that those dreams and wishes that we had talked about for all those years in our in our golden years, that we needed to take advantage of the time that we had, not knowing how the Parkinson's would progress, and do that. And so
that was in May. I had had my surgery in March.
And this is 2013.
In May of 13.
In May of 13, I full on retired, and
I started the process of phasing out my own business and retiring myself.
So we won't share the whole story, but we sold our house and we sold our car and stopped living the suburban dream, the 3 cars and the big house in Colorado, and we began downsizing our life. We moved to California, 2 places. We first moved to Santa Cruz, and then we moved to Solvang.
Down near Santa Barbara.
Down near Santa Barbara. And then finally up here to Tacoma.
And we lived in Tacoma, Washington until 6 months ago when we went to Mexico.
Yeah, when our youngest son, who graduated from high school, went off to college. We literally sold our house, our car,
all our belongings.
All of our belongings, except for a few that we stuck in long-term storage, and we have embarked upon this great adventure.
4 suitcases later, we were in Mexico with our dog.
Yeah, we had literally our life in 4 suitcases and our dog. We had planned on staying in Puerto Vallarta until mid-May, but it's April 1 right now, and we're back here in Tacoma because of the coronavirus.
Which is a concern for everybody.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation, but we've gotten our lives at least down to the bare minimum, and we're more than comfortable, and we're going to be able to survive this. We're moving into a furnished apartment for 6 months, and
we'll take it from there.
And we'll take it from there.
Going back to Parkinson's, people are always shocked that when I say I have Parkinson's, much less that I've had it for 15 years. Part of it is because I've never been tremor dominant. Although people say there's different kinds of Parkinson's, and I think there's probably many, many more than even people are claiming. But what I disagree with is the fact that there is a tremor dominant and a non. Maybe there is for you, and I don't want to disagree with a doctor, definitely. But I found my tremor's gone entirely, that I did have. The other thing is people ask about different stages and what Parkinson's stage you're in. Well, I've gone backwards because I went very quickly through to a very bad point where meds didn't work and I was miserable and I was tremoring and I had the emotional anxieties that go with Parkinson's, to it being all gone now.
Well, and so, again, her mom and her sister have Parkinson's, and all 3 of them have had DBS, and they have all responded very, very well to it. Her sister just had it not even a year ago and is doing terrific with it.
And my 83-year-old mother is doing tap dancing lessons.
Yeah, she had her DBS when she was 78, I think. 79. So if anybody out there tells you you're too old, Jill's mom had it at 79.
It was definitely the best thing I ever did, because what it did more than anything is it gave us our lives back. And that's where I hear people who are upset about Parkinson's. They feel like it's taken their life from them, and I can so understand that. DBS gave me my life back. Now, DBS isn't for everybody. There's other alternatives, but definitely 3 things I always say you should do. Absolutely be seen a movement disorder specialist, not just any old neurologist, and certainly not just your primary care doctor. You need to see a movement disorder specialist, because those are the doctors who deal with people like us every single day. They get it because they learn more from other patients. I'm a strong believer in support groups, exercise,
And exercise.
and exercise. As being the other thing I've gotten very into, which is important to me, and I think a lot of people have benefited from it, not just myself, is I'm an ambassador for the Davis Finney Foundation.
And that has brought a wealth of experience and wonderful friends to both of our lives, quite frankly. And if you're not familiar with Davis Finney Foundation, you really need to. Probably the best all-in-one manual on how to live with Parkinson's.
The Every Victory Counts manual.
It's called the Every Victory Counts manual, and it's totally free.
Well, you have to pay for shipping.
Yeah, if you send away for the hard copy, you have to pay for shipping. But if you have a Kindle or an iPad, you can download it, and it's free.
And what being an ambassador and being involved in the community, either through Davis Finney or through my local support groups that I've either been involved in. I started one in Solvang. I've been very involved in the one in Tacoma. I've been involved in the exercise programs here. And I was involved in Denver too. I was involved in a young onset group. That sense of community is very important, and I think more now than any time else is because when you're inside and when your limit is what you feel like you can do, being able to talk to others about where you're at is very important.
So, the story of... Go ahead.
And there's one more support group I think is really important. I'm in a group online on Facebook. It's a Facebook group called Strong Her, STRONGHER, Stronger. And it's only for women and only for women with Parkinson's. So this is not written by no care partners, no doctors.
I don't know what goes on in there.
No, but it's nice because it is people we can talk to each other about this and what we're all going through. So I highly recommend, if you are a care partner, I know there's many Facebook groups for care partners, and there's also Facebook groups for others with Parkinson's. So definitely look into that if you're a Facebook user.
So that's our story. Again, we just wanted to, since we've been doing this for a while and so many of you out there
doing great.
Find us through Parkinson's connections, through the Parkinson's community. We wanted to just kind of tell you how we got to where we are and share with you our life and what we're doing.
Probably the most important thing that we feel like, Parkinson's, not only can it take from you, but it can take from your dreams. And what we wanted to show is with correct medicine, treatment, be it DBS or something else, but lifestyle change, you too can live your life regardless of having Parkinson's.
Yeah, we're going to travel. We're going to keep traveling as long as we can. We plan to for quite a while. We just say we're going to go a little slower, which is fine, but we can still do it, and we think so many of you can too. Whether it's Parkinson's or whatever limitation you have, don't give up on your dreams. You can do it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Take care.